Hello, this is Saloni, and we are here for the Interledger Protocol Summit after party or after party podcast. So, yeah, here we are. We are gathered here to share our thoughts and kind of our takeaways from the summit. So, let's go. Carlos? You.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos. I'm from Costa Rica. I ended up here in a really strange way. A friend of mine, he was invited to talk and be part of the discussions. And he invited me, and then I start to get involved. It's a really nice organization. They welcome you with their open arms so you can learn the different things that they are doing and everything. Actually, I was part of a hackathon. The last one that I participated was more than 10 years ago. So yeah, it's a really nice experience. It's a really nice group of people. So it's been amazing.
Hi, my name is Malou from Stichting Here to Support. We're from Amsterdam. We were invited by the Interledger Foundation to speak at the summit. We are supporting undocumented people in Amsterdam, which means people who don't have papers for the Netherlands. And we're here because undocumented people don't have access to banking. So it makes sense that the Interledger Foundation wants us here because they want to have a world where everyone has access to banking. I've been amazed by this 3 days now already. Our session was very good, but I learned so much about technology. I'm not a tech person. Now I'm a bit of a tech person. I also was in a hackathon, but I was in the cheering committee of the hackathon. They didn't win, the team I was cheered on, but unfortunately. Those were amazing days, and yeah, looking forward for other people to.
Hello, I'm Eunice. I'm also from Amsterdam, and I'm working together with Malou and Savannah. We're taking care of the undocumented people or people without residence permit in the Netherlands. Just like what Malou said, we are here to find out how this group of community could access banking because they are not allowed in the Netherlands to access banking, and Netherlands is becoming more digitized and more cashless society, and without banking, that means that they could not access infrastructural services of the society. 3 days, I've been amazed how diverse and beautiful people that are included in this, and the community people are working together in one rhythm to create a society that have meaning and social justice and social equity.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've been doing on this podcast is reflecting on some of our reactions to some of what we've been experiencing and seeing, and we had a good chat about the amazing work that the three of you were doing last time on the podcast. Which got a bit emotional at moments. And you had an observation yesterday, Art, from one of the talks on the disconnect. Do you want to, like, on what is happening in your country on a leadership level that I found interesting?
So it was Eunice that actually brought this up. And then when I was watching the presentation and the complete, it was the Jordan one. It was the Jordan one, and then talking about the Queen, who's from Netherlands, who's doing all this amazing work in Jordan with migrants and undocumented things, and then the blatant hypocrisy that this is happening in her country, but they're not doing anything there, but she's going out in the world at other organizations in other countries and seems to be a huge champion of that work there. So it seemed a little odd. So maybe Eunice or some of the other people from that organization can talk to the inside ideas of why that seems a little odd.
Yes, for us, that was also a bit odd. First of all, I didn't recognize our queen in that picture, so maybe that says a lot. But then she said this is Queen Maxima from the Netherlands, and I thought, oh yeah, I know that the Queen Maxima from the Netherlands is a champion for microcredits. And I know that she does this from, I think it's the World Bank or the United Nations, I'm not sure. I think it's great that she does that. I also heard that there's a lot of criticism on microcredits, what she is, where she's advocating for in the whole world. I suppose that in the Netherlands this is a very political topic. The Queen and the King of the Netherlands are not political. I mean, they're there as a symbol for our country. So I don't think we could ever have a queen or king vouching or voting or advocacy for human rights for migrants in the Netherlands. Maybe that sounds very harsh. I'm maybe also not very a monarch type person, but I'm quite sure that they couldn't do that because the Netherlands don't want a lot of migrants in the country, and definitely not undocumented people, because they would say, and are definitely not my words, but they would say, go back to your own country. I'm not saying that Maxima would say that, but that's a bit of the narrative of the Netherlands. So yeah, it's quite cynical that our queen is there in Jordan making banking happening for people in Jordan. And yeah, there's also the fact that in the Netherlands there are also people who are not have access to banking. And I'm not sure if the Queen is going to, if she can make that happen in the Netherlands. I think it's too political.
One of the things that keeps sort of coming up the last few days throughout the festival, as we've kind of been exploring different areas, and especially with Neha as she's been exploring accessibility, is this idea that part of the reason for coming together like this is because we don't know what we don't know, and it's so important to start to learn about those things that we don't know, that by knowing them, while sometimes uncomfortable, could create positive change in some way. And I had a little bit of an experience with that just very personally yesterday. Often people don't realize at conferences the impacts of the big flashy light stimuli on people that have a brain injury or deal with concussions or sensory issues. And I'm dealing with post-concussion syndrome going on 6 years now. And so yesterday, when I was in the session where I was very much enjoying, learning more about the work that the People's Clearinghouse was doing, I was okay when I was listening to Isabella Cruz and listening and really enjoying her talk. But when there was the panel up there and there was 4 people in the same voice in English in my ear and different voices in Spanish in the other ear, and fuzz static on the system. It was too much for my concussed brain to handle, and I didn't realize that I was it was when I started to, they had the swirling colored lights behind the side panels, which looked very beautiful, but I started cluing in that my concussion was getting triggered when those started to really irritate me. And I remember Neha was sitting beside me, and I sort of said to her, I think I might be sparking my concussion. And she very wisely said to me, Erica, you should leave. But because it was an Indigenous panel, and that's, you know, not the most polite thing to do when, you know, and especially when you're right at the front of the room, and they're people whose story I want to hear and who I have a great deal of respect for the work they're doing. I didn't want to leave. And I stubbornly wanted to continue listening, which I did until Neha really told me, Erica, you need to turn the English off. And so eventually I did listen to her and turn the English off, but it was too late. So, and just by the end of the panel, I was in that heightened state of feeling tearful, which is always a really big red flag warning signal to me, feeling like I was kind of floating and my whole body was sort of vibrating. And I didn't realize I was shaking until Carrie and Neha told me I was shaking at lunch. And the two of them were very wise, and they told me I needed to go lie down. And when I was being stubborn, they insisted. You know, the thing from that one was it was a learning experience for the conference. And they responded really well. You know, Vanille, who's always my superstar, he got a hold of Anna and got the tech team to make the image static. There was moments where, you know, because it didn't translate to everybody, you know, it started to, you know, it was moving again at times, including this morning when I went into the hackathon room. And the beauty was, though, just took mentioning it once, and right away they resolved the issue. The end of the day, when they had the countdown, they warned me it was happening. They told me if I couldn't handle it, that they would turn it off. But I realized at that point that I could also, because of the way the hackathon was shaped, I could move to the other side of the table and turn my back so I didn't see the screen. But it's these reasons, and this is one of the things Neha and I have been talking about and talking to people at the festival, and I'm really hoping that they continue these conversations with Neha, is that the more we understand about that and what those different needs from people with different disabilities are, the more we can avoid that problem, because I'll speak up. A lot of people won't speak up. And if I didn't know myself as well as I do right now, I could have ended up in a really dangerous situation that I would have been back to lying underneath a blanket for 2 weeks and then spending another couple of months sort of building myself back to the state that I could function and get work done and look at a screen again. And so on that note, I'm going to pass the mic to Neha, because I think she's been having some really great conversations throughout around accessibility.
So yeah, I think I go to a lot of conferences, I speak at a lot of conferences, but not often until and unless they are disability conferences that the leadership and the management is very open about the changes when you like tell it to them. Like we had two sign language interpreters, and we forgot to thank them at the closing ceremony. So usually it's a best practice when at any conference there are sign language interpreters, they need to be thanked because they were the parallel communication, right? They were there all the time, perhaps more than any of the speakers. So, and they took it very, very positively. Yes, you're right, and we should be doing that. So I think that's the best part about the Interledger Summit that I felt. Like whenever I've given a feedback, whether it's about the digital accessibility or whether about the interpreters or I'm having a lot of other conversations around how we can make the whole protocol accessible right from the design stage so that we will have users with disabilities using it in the future. So we cannot put that barrier in front that they cannot access it. And that's 15% of the world population, by the way. So if we are like from the design stage, we are doing it. I think I'm really glad that they are very open to the idea and have had really great conversations about digital accessibility and even about the whole event, how we can make it more accessible and inclusive for people with visible or invisible disabilities. Like Erica has an invisible disability, I have an invisible disability, and a lot of people amongst us have that, but they are haven't just publicly acknowledged it, and a lot of people don't. And it's okay not to, but if we can build something by design which is inclusive, they don't have to ask for accommodation, which might be causing a friction to them to participate equitably in any of the conferences that we're talking about, or any of the solutions or products or services that we are building here. Like it's a great bunch of creative, innovative, and technically amazing people. I mean, I was in the hackathon today, and I was like, what is happening? Half of the time I had no idea what was happening, but it means I was there to learn. And yeah, so at the code stage, at the design stage, if it's inclusive, that's the beauty of it, if we can make it happen.
And Santosh, you've been very busy with the hackathon today. And you've been very busy with, you won, didn't you? And you helped organize it.
Not quite, but yeah, I participated in it. I didn't organize it, but I participated in the hackathon, and it was a great feeling. It was an adrenaline gush all day, like from the idea stage to like design stage to development stage, all are happening in those 6 to 7 hours of time, and it was really like a lot. And yeah, but finally I won, so that I mean, that made me forget all the hard work and all the anxiety that I had for all the day. Yeah.
So now you're an ambassador with Interledger, and you've been working around open payments. And while we've personally been talking a lot over the conference, we've yet to hear you on the podcast and sort of what some of the things that either surprised you or that made you really think, or that instilled something in you that makes you want to either change or continue to build on the code, or things like that we've been creating through the Interledger protocol. And
Sure. I think, I mean, my understanding of inclusiveness was quite different before the conference, and it changed a lot during, and I mean, it changed a lot during the conference. Especially because I mean, I attended quite a few conferences, but I mean, I feel like now I saw this summit. I feel like they were like not inclusive. I mean, we had a sign interpreter, we had a translator here. I mean, uh, making these events inclusive is something. I mean, that taught us, and I think these kind of, I mean, will have a ripple effect of how, like, when we are doing something in the next 5 years or something. I think these will help us to understand how to be inclusive in the future events or the future things that we try to build. So yeah, and related to the podcast, I mean, these are the, I think this is one of the space where I heard different ideas, and everyone comes from a different background here, and everyone has went through a different type of challenges until now, and everyone I think coming from a different background, coming from a different status, uh, understanding, I mean, listening to them and understanding them, like, quite helped me a lot to learn. And I think I'm thankful that someone is doing it and someone is helping to teach others about like how to be inclusive and by being inclusive themselves first.
that's kind of a beautiful note. Now, Carlos, you are totally brand new to this whole world. Did you manage to take in any of the sessions in the last few days?
Yeah, actually, I went to most of the sessions. Hearing all these things about inclusion and being part and the openness, what it always comes to my mind is, for example, I'm a Costa Rican. So being a Costa Rican, I haven't seen another one being part of this. And it's something really amazing. Like, people here is doing really great stuff. And this thing of inclusion. In my position as a Costa Rican, I think that would be nice to have more people involved. And now that you are going to different countries to have these meetings, like, wouldn't it be amazing to have people from the country where you are doing the event to talk about the situations and the things that they are going through? Because the same issues that everybody's talking here that happen in the Netherlands, that happen in India, that happen all around the world, in Brazil, is the same issue that we have here. And as a Costa Rican, I know. So how can the organization go beyond and try to invite more people to be part of it? And you know, like, being in a country where people is already here, like, you can have even more people apporting, like, giving ideas, sharing thoughts, sharing knowledge. Like I said, I'm an engineer. I know that here we have amazing and really great engineers that can be part, and just because they don't know, in like my case, I didn't know. Like, I was invited by a friend who was in one of these talks, and he told me, like, why don't you come? Maybe something nice will happen. I know that you like this kind of stuff. And here I am in a podcast that I wasn't invited at the beginning. So, you know, it's like, just go and get involved. And I think that you have such a great tool and platform to do it, that you should make the most of what you have, and not only here, all around the world, and in every country. I remember that I was talking with Amber, your HR, the human resources department, and I asked her, like, why you choose to do it in Costa Rica. And she told me, because it's a country that most of the people, they don't need a visa to go. If we do it in the States, most will require a visa, so we knew that we will have less people, because if they don't have a visa, they need to go to the process to get one to come. Costa Rica is a country that don't need. So, you know, knowing these things is like, it opens your mind and in different aspects. So yeah, that's and also the relationships that you do during the event, the people that you know, the stories. At the end of the day, I believe that we share a lot. It doesn't matter if you are in India or in Brazil, or we share a lot of stories. So it's really nice to connect with people that is going through the same things as you, or that are trying to solve the same issues. For example, today in the hackathon, I was alone, and I got there, and it's like, who else is alone? And there was Chris, who is also from the Netherlands, and we start to talk and share some ideas, some thoughts, and at the end, we were able to present a product in less than 12 hours. So, you know, it's like those things that are happening here. So I invite you to make the most of it in the coming future.
Yeah, maybe I can add to that. My name is Savannah. I'm a colleague of Malou and Eunice from Here to Support from Amsterdam. And I think this whole idea of inclusiveness already started when we got the invitation to come to the summit, because in our office we know that everyone who is undocumented is not allowed to travel. So the choice of us to come here was actually, we talked for a long time about it. Is it ethical to go and go with 3 people who have passports to talk about undocumented migrants that are not allowed to travel? And it's it's like, it is something that we discuss in our office every day, because of course we are confronted with all the good things that we have, like, because we have the passport, we have privileges, and we don't need a visa to travel into the country. We don't, like, it's very we understand our privileges very, very well, because we are confronted with it every single day. But then traveling all the way to here, I think it was a big choice. And at the same time, we are here. My phone keeps on ringing, and I know the phone of Eunice also is ringing the whole time with, you cannot be there to do your support while being at a conference here. So yeah, it's something that goes through our mind the whole day. Like it doesn't stop. It doesn't go away. What Carlos said about involving the communities that are present in the surroundings of a conference or a summit like this, that maybe give people the opportunity that are close now to be part. That would be very nice if the next year there is a summit, that the local community is very much involved, not only to share their culture, because I think that was nice that happened, yesterday with music and stuff like this, but also to participate, because it's not only about giving an illustration like this is how nice Costa Rican music is or food is or things like that, but it's also about really be part of solution making, or part of
integrating communities. Integrating the communities, I believe.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for it just makes my heart super warm to think that people with passports are thinking so much about people without them. And I don't know what's your story with undocumented immigrants, like how close are you with one, or how did the whole thing started? But it just makes me feel really nice that you guys have traveled so far to kind of make these conversations here. Also, I want to thank Erica for bringing up the topic of her brain concussion and all that. I have a friend who's really close to me, and she has epilepsy, and things that we as normal people might pass on as super normal might not be as normal to them. And we often forget to talk about things that involves, discussions about accessibility and differently abled people, making arrangements for them. And this summit, to be honest, in ILP Summit, I am mostly on the tech side, and I did not think I will go back with such a change in perspective on things that were not really related to, ILP, the protocol in general. And being a part of these conversations is this makes my heart melt.
I want to add also that before the three of us come here, I was like begging them, asking them, what are we going to do with that? It's about technology. What are the community will get from it? And now being here, seeing it the bridging the gap between technology and the community, it's really, really important. And for me, hearing what Carlos said, it flashes towards it could create international solidarity, so make change, to be more inclusive, to be more accessible for people who don't have anything, because we are privileged, like the community that we are serving in the Netherlands. And also meeting peoples with different experience, different status, different knowledge. It creates a well of knowledge that you could use now or in the future to serve more. For me, what I learned is definitely I could use it to serve more the community that I am serving now.
I think that's a beautiful note to end this discussion on. And I want to thank everybody for, participating in this, both the summit and all that you've shared with all of us here, and today on the podcast. So thank you.